next group of gentlemen who are ready to take the stage. Here's we introduce exclusive interviews with MariMed. He's already here. Let's make some noise one more time for the one and only Tim Seymour.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. One and only, I don't know about that, but Benzinga is certainly one and only in terms of cannabis conferences, and it's great to be here. Great to have everybody here, and great to be here having a conversation with the one and only Bob Fireman of MariMed. And I guess, first of all, we don't have a lot of time, Bob, although I think we were given 2 minutes. Oh, I thought we just had 2 extra minutes from the last guy. We don't. We've got about 20 minutes to tell the story of a company. And to dive right in, my guess is if we were sitting here a year ago, the way I might have led off this panel would be something along the lines of, MariMed is the best kept secret in the world of the multi-state operators. In other words, a company that has doubled revenues the last couple of years, has a footprint in limited license and growing states, has a world-class brand portfolio that a lot of investors don't know. Now, I think somewhere in the last year and a half, I think the market has paid attention, and I think the company's gone out of their way with initiatives to, I think, bring this message both to the analyst community. But really, I want to dive right in and talk about, first of all, who is MariMed in 2022, a year after, again, revenues doubled, you continue to consolidate the business, and I think rather than telling the story of a company you've never heard of, this is a company that I think a lot of investors really should be paying attention to because of the execution that's going on. So welcome. That's a long intro, and I'm sorry, but I talk for a living.
When Tim Seymour says something good about you, everyone should listen.
Yeah.
Before I start, I think we should thank Patrick, Elliot, Jason, and Benzinga for putting on this great event and letting us tell our story to the marketplace. So who are we?
Yeah, and I knew Bob and I knew MariMed years and years ago when I knew them as a strategic consultant and advisor. This is a company that's won 17 licenses, that has built out 300,000 or more in state-of-the-art cultivation. You've done that for other people. You certainly have been consolidating your own footprint, and in fact, you're a company that's now growing. So where do you see the business today?
Well, I think it's good that we know that, Benzinga used to call us the best kept secret in cannabis. And a couple of years ago, we changed our strategic plan to go from a role as advisors and consultants to a full multi-state vertically integrated public cannabis company. So with that strategic plan, we started to roll up our businesses that we built in 5 states. We rolled up Massachusetts, we rolled up Illinois, and we just got approval for the transfer of our business that we built in Maryland. So with double-digit growth in 2020, we did it again in 21, and now we gave guidance with validated sustainable revenue. We are profitable. We've cleaned up our balance sheet, and we're poised for significant growth. We look at 22 as another foundational year. We're in every state. We're adding capacity. We're adding dispensaries. We're adding our brands. And we look to continue to meet our guidance, to maintain our financial discipline, and have an extraordinary 22, which will set a foundation for a huge year in 23.
Well, you bring up the execution and really delivering on messaging that you set out. And I think, in the cannabis industry, extremely important for companies to best guide as they see. And it's not easy to assess a business in this industry. And I think there's tons of companies out there that are trying and many that are doing it well. But, I have to say, MariMed has not only hit their execution numbers, but you've guided for 145 to 150 million in 22 top line, all organic growth, not necessarily feeding in some of the broader parts of your business that at some point you would consolidate. Are those numbers you feel comfortable with? And again, talk about how you assess and forecast your business.
Well, my CFO's in the audience, so I can't talk numbers.
Yeah, well, talk about what you can talk about.
I think it's about the team. We grind it out every day. We've got a validated management team, unlike other MSOs that's been together over 10 years. We have a culture of work and commitment to quality. That quality is in our flower, our brands, and in the success that we've had in every state that we're in. So we continue, we have sustainable revenue now. We're very comfortable we'll meet or exceed our guidance. And
I just want to clarify that, because again, the last 12 months to 15 months for MariMed have been critical in that you've consolidated in parts of your business that truly, I think the market did not understand that you could actually begin to price those numbers in. So as I look at these 22 numbers, do you think that there's actually low-hanging fruit that it possibly is just part of your core business that you're slowly consolidating and that the market hasn't seen?
Our numbers are built on our continued growth rate that we'll make very easily, conservative. If a few things start to happen, we'll go well beyond our numbers. I mean, we built in for the end of 22. Some of the revenue, if it happens sooner, will get a lot higher than our predicted numbers. But as we look to add assets, I mean, we're going to open 2 more dispensaries in Massachusetts. We just, in Illinois, we acquired a craft license. We're growing out cultivation and production in Mount Vernon, Illinois, where we'll go vertical into the Illinois market, which will enhance the revenue and the profitability of our 4 dispensaries. And by Illinois law, we can add up to another 6 dispensaries. So being completely vertical in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Illinois, bringing our brands to these marketplaces could expedite and create additional revenue across the board.
You know, you mentioned brands. Every company out here is talking about, I've got a brand. We've been building brands. And frankly, it is a case where I think brand building is still very early stage, especially because in many cases, the companies themselves are the brand. The retail store footprint is the brand. MariMed actually has a couple brands, certainly one that's a leader in its segment in every state it's in, and that's Betty's Eddies. That's in the edible segment. Talk about that, and talk about how having a brand, which is what everyone espouses to have, is something that will allow you also to enter new states, continue to kind of grow that national presence without necessarily having to put down that kind of a footprint.
We believe the ultimate winners in the industry will be branding and distribution. We ultimately, with Prohibition coming, will have to look more like consumer packaged goods. Betty's Eddies was developed by 2 of our key individuals. It was a product based on a vegan, all-natural taffy. The science behind it was amazing. It ran to be the best market leader in every state we're in because it meets the needs of the consumer in taste and quality and in experience. Word of mouth has made it the top seller in Massachusetts and Maryland, and it was originally in the medical program the best seller in Illinois. That commitment to quality is now in our new brands, our Bubby's Baked Goods. We had a great brownie promotion. We made SNL and Jimmy Kimmel with a 850-pound brownie.
There was a big pot brownie. Let's talk about that, because
that's what it is.
The pot brownie stunt, by the way. How many 5 billion media impressions around the world for MariMed based upon this? This brainchild, where did this come from?
Well, it came from our chief communication officer who had the idea. We thought it was pretty crazy, and then we did it, and it went wild all the way to SNL and Jimmy Kimmel, USA Today. That publicity for the launch on Brownies, National Brownies Day created buzz. That brand now being rolled out in 3 states is killing it. And we just came out with a brand called Vibations, which is an energy powdered drink mix, which puts us into the beverage category with a simple modality that you can pour into any liquid and create a great result. We're coming out with our new THC ice cream in Massachusetts in partnership with EMAC and Bolio's, an old stoner brand. So branding is important. We're going to go deep in our branding in the states that we're in, and we're looking to license and do production and distribution across the country. We want to make a national brand.
I was going to say, so including the states where you're vertical and where there's a core business in the East Coast, Illinois, even presence in Nevada, but plus where you expect to have Betty's, Eddie's, and Bubby's, and some of these other major leading brands out there. Where do you expect to be? What's the footprint you expect to be out in 2 years? That's not including new states and other consolidations, but the existing business and where you can grow these brands on a licensing basis.
Today we're in 7 states. We hope to be in twice that within the next 18 months. We get a lot of competition in other these states. They're looking for an iconic brand to come in and create shelf space. You know, if you buy Betty's, you'll take the other stuff. So we're looking to expand across the country. However, we're very financially disciplined in our business and our brands. And we think it's going to be real important. It's going to be a big win long term for MariMed and its stockholders.
I want to talk a little bit about also the quality of the product, because we're talking about brands and they get there for, because of the quality. Full disclosure, I actually sit on the advisory board for MariMed, and part of the reason I decided to sign up for that role was, look, I took a visit to MariMed's Massachusetts facility. The sophistication and the quality of the infrastructure, to me, was striking. Talk to me about where you think you should be positioning the quality of the plant. I think we know the answer to it, but talk about that commitment. And this just doesn't happen overnight. And again, this is a company that I believe has actually been consulting and advising, but doing it on their own for a long time.
It all comes down to the quality of the products that you make. And it's all part of the culture at MariMed, where our team believes in its products and every day is happy to come to work and to make what we consider the best products to fulfill the needs of the customers and clients that we have. It all starts with the flower and the genetics, the way we consider ourselves craft growers at scale. Our COO, Tim Shaw, assigns a person to a room who's responsible to make love to every plant, not figuratively.
Whoa. Maybe everyone should take a tour of the Massachusetts facility.
They have special music in each plant to create certain growing conditions. But that quality in the flower gets into our concentrates. Our Nature's Heritage flower and concentrate brand, top sellers in the states that we're in, and that quality of that full plant goes into all our infused products, Betty's, Bubby's, Calm, and all of our brands.
And I think that's part of it. In terms of what's going on the East Coast and markets that I think you hope strategically, again, appropriately and diligently and prudently to enter, but you just won a license in Ohio. Obviously, the competitive licensing process or the social equity licensing process in New York and in Connecticut is it's game on. How do you visit those markets, or how do you dive into those markets? And talk a little bit just about the role you've played in social equity in the past and how that should be positioning you pretty well in these states.
Our whole team at MariMed is committed to social equity, to diversity, to inclusion. I mean, the states that are making that the prerequisite to get new licenses are trying to bring more people into the fold. We support it 100%. We did it before it became a requirement. We need to do a better job as an industry to bring these people in, not only just to give them titles, but to train them in the workforce and give them the specific expertise that they need to learn and to be part of this emerging industry. With that said, we're applying in Connecticut in the diversity program. We're doing the same thing in New Jersey. In New York, we're supporting some hemp farmers of ours that just got a leg up. And in the next round, there'll be legacy and inclusion of others. We need to support that across the country, and we need to give something back to the people that were harmed by the abusive laws of cannabis.
Talk about the team. This is a team, as you say, that's been together a long time, works hard, grinds away. Execution is very important. You've added some pieces to the team. You've added some significant pieces of call it CPG strength, experience from Sam Adams, Coca-Cola, Unilever, McDonald's, Dick's Sporting Goods. Explain what it means to continue to evolve and grow and become more sophisticated as an entity as this industry continues to grow and become more sophisticated?
Well, when you see the size and the people that are coming to these events, our first cannabis event was 70 people in Nevada. Now it's thousands. Our original team comes from the culture. We put them together over 10 years ago, and the original founders, including me and several others, took this business from nothing to 150 million and more. To expand across the country, we now bring people from these great companies that have business acumen, that can learn this industry and take this company to be a major tier 2, tier 1 player in the public cannabis sector. We learn from these people. It's an interesting thing. You need to keep the culture of the savants that understand cannabis, and then you need to bring other business skills and acumen to get to being a leading public company in the capital markets.
And I think we've seen it from both sides. I think we've seen the companies that actually were capital markets engineers, folks that knew how to put companies together, had no cannabis culture at all, and the folks that really were all cannabis culture. And it seems to me, MariMed, first of all, again, built its roots in the cannabis industry, but obviously with leaders like yourself that have been successful in other walks of life. Part of the next phase for the company, I think there's a focus also, is how the company is perceived, how it's traded, how the awareness in the analyst community follows through. I'm guessing there's a lot of folks out there that really have never seen research on MariMed, and yet in the last year, actually, we've had 3 analysts pick up coverage. There's a number of I think, other folks in the pipeline. Talk about, as a CEO, and talk about adding value for shareholders, how you view this next phase of really outreach and communication to the market, a dual listing on the CSE. How do you hope to add value to the stock?
Well, as you said, we had to get the story out. People had to know that we're a full vertically integrated MSO. We picked up 4 and maybe a 5th analyst, which is good. We've added bench strength to our VP of IR, communications, and now adding these people from other things. We're talking into capital markets. We hope that our listing in the CSE will bring more investors that can invest through the Canadian exchange. We're keeping our full SEC compliance, so we're still a full company. We had hoped that Senator Schumer might have done something earlier this year to
give us, all hope that.
Yeah, a path to NASDAQ. But right now, Canada is still a vehicle to help us get the story out. We need to bring more institutional investors to this industry. We need them to come to these events. Not only all the folks that we see that we hug and kiss and know for years, but we need to bring a whole new cadre of investors to this emerging cannabis industry as fast as we can.
We've got a couple minutes left, and I think there's 2 really important questions, one on the future and one just on how you view the company is perceived, both either in the market or within the industry. Where do you see your positioning? And are there misperceptions, and are there things that actually you believe are really, I was on a panel this morning called differentiating MSOs. Where are you?
I think we're different. I think a lot of my friends originally in the public sector went to Canada, raised a lot of money, started making acquisitions, tried to assimilate different cultures, different business, different systems. MariMed took the other path. We didn't do the RTO. We didn't raise the capital. We're organically grown. These are businesses that we won the licenses, built the facilities, developed our own SOPs, and continue to grow both in formulation and science. So I think we're different. We had some infusion of capital last year. We're also different in that we're debt-free other than some bank loans. We're positive cash flow. We're profitable. We have excess cash available, and we're poised for growth. I mean, we're looking to expand into other states, I think, through picking off some single operators, SSOs, that share our
Picking
culture.
off. What does that mean? What does it mean picking off?
Acquiring. People that are looking in competitive markets, that want to be part of a bigger organization that has the capital, the know-how, and the bench to bring brands and more expertise into their states. We're going to expand through M&A of people that do that. We're going to expand through new applications. And we're going to continue to be financially disciplined to continue our earnings and our revenue across all aspects of our business.
Well, you've certainly done that, and again, in a world where I think many of the companies have slowed down in sequential growth, it's been a pretty extraordinary couple of years. So I started saying that a year ago you're the company no one ever heard of. Now you're the company with tremendous momentum and a company that I think people are actually really paying attention to because of that profitability. Where do you want to be in a year, Bob? Where can we be telling this story from now?
We want to have our brands in at least 5 to 10 more states. We want to have operations deeper in the states that we're in. We want to increase our revenue into the hundreds of millions of dollars and make sure that we still maintain the highest earnings percentages and in the industry. So we're looking to continue to be a leader of the industry through financially discipline and the success of our operations and our brands.
Well, 20 minutes is not enough, but it's been a great conversation. Continue to do what you're doing, which is really executing on what you said you were doing in a world that's very difficult for cannabis operators. Bob, don't be a stranger for the markets, and thanks for this conversation today.
Tim, thank you, and thank everyone for listening.
Thank you, Benzinga.